friends, Ms. Lisa here with another Bible story. So last week we talked about Adam and Eve and the beautiful Garden of Eden that God created for them to live in. We talked about that really special relationship that they had with God, that He would come to them in the garden and they would walk together and they would talk together because they were special friends. But God gave them one rule for the garden, and that was do not touch, do not eat the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Now, were Adam and Eve able to obey that one rule God gave them? Nope, they didn't obey. God has given us the ability to think, to reason, and to make choices. And Adam and Eve chose to disobey. Now, with choices come consequences. Good choices have good consequences, and bad choices have bad consequences. And the consequence to Adam and Eve's decision to disobey God's rule was that they were no longer able to live in the garden. They didn't have that special relationship with God anymore where He came and He walked and He talked with them. Life became really hard, filled with sickness and sadness, pain, and finally death, because God told them, if you eat that fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you will surely die. And so that's what happened. So our story today is many, 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 many years after Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve had many children. Their children had children. Their grandchildren had children. And their great-grandchildren had children. So now the earth is filled with many, many people. And unfortunately, these people have not chosen to obey God. They have not chosen to love God. And actually, a lot of them don't even remember God. So the earth has become wicked. But there was one man named Noah who loved God and obeyed God and listened to God. So God came to Noah and He told Noah, I'm looking at the earth and it's filled with such wickedness that people have made such bad choices. And so there's going to be a consequence. There's going to be punishment. I'm going to cause a flood to come to cover the entire earth and to destroy it. But you, Noah, have been faithful, so I'm going to protect you and your wife and your 3 sons and their 3 wives. I want you to build a very big boat called an ark. And He told Noah exactly how to build it, what kind of wood to use, how to make sure that it would be waterproof so no water would get in. He said, make it with many, many rooms. And actually, it was a very large boat. Now, as Adam is building this ark, people would come and they'd say, hey, Noah, what are you doing? What are you building? And he'd say, I'm building a boat because there's going to be a flood. And the people would say, why are you building a boat? There's no water around here. And so they kind of thought he was crazy. And so he would tell them, well, God's going to cause a rain to come down and flood the earth. Well, it had never rained before. And so I'm sure that Noah probably didn't quite understand what it meant when God said it's going to rain. And the people he was talking to certainly didn't know what it meant when He said rain's going to come. So I think they probably thought he was just crazy. And He tried to tell them, you need to repent. You need to be sorry for not listening to God, for forgetting about God, for not loving God and not obeying Him. But their hearts were hardened and they chose not to listen. And so there was going to be a consequence. There was going to be a punishment because those choices bring consequences. And so God also told Noah that he was going to protect his family, but He was also going to protect animals. And so there was going to be 2 of every kind of animal that lived on the earth and the birds. A male and a female, a boy and a girl, and that they were going to live on the ark with Noah's family. But God did not have to have Noah go out and collect the animals. God actually brought the animals to Noah. Can you imagine what an amazing sight that would have been? So here is Noah. He's working on his ark. He gets it done, and suddenly all these animals start showing up. Giraffes and elephants and lions and camels and all these different types of birds, and even the creeping things, the bugs, all came to live on the ark, because God wasn't going to destroy everything. He was going to keep the animals so that when the water receded, that they could start over again. So all these animals came to the ark sent by God. So imagine what all of Noah's friends must have thought. First, he's building this crazy big boat where there's no water. He's talking about rain. And then all of a sudden, all these animals just start showing up. It must have been a very amazing sight to see. So here are the animals. And then, we got here the picture of the ark on the water. But before the rains came, as all the animals went inside the ark, the Bible tells us that God closed the door, which I just think is such an amazing thing. God's protection of Noah and Noah's family and of all the animals is once they're safely inside, God closed the door for them. So here they are. They're in the ark. I imagine it was just so loud and crazy with all those animals. I mean, every animal that you can think of is now on the ark. All those insects and bugs are now on the ark. All the birds are now on the ark with Noah and his wife and his 3 sons and their 3 wives. So it was probably really loud and probably a little bit smelly too, I would imagine. So they're all on the ark together. And now God also told Noah, make sure you have enough food for yourself and all the animals. So that had to have been a huge boat. So now the rain started, and it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. And so the ark is sitting on the ground, and as it rains, the ark starts to lift up off the ground as the water. Now the waters got so high that they covered the highest mountains and even above the highest mountains, so much water. So God had the waters that came down in rain, but he also had the waters that came up from the ground. So it was so much water. So 40 days and 40 nights it rained. Now, after that 40th day of rain, when it stopped, they were not able to leave the ark yet because the earth was still covered in water from, like I said, the highest mountain. So they had to wait until the water receded, which means that there was no more water and that there would be dry ground. And it took a very long, long time for that to happen. So as the rain stopped and the days passed, Noah sent a bird, a dove, out. He first sent a raven out, and the raven kind of flew back and forth and back and forth. And then Noah decided to send a dove out, and the dove flew out, and he came back, and Noah realized there's no place for the dove to land. So we're not ready to get out yet. So he sent the dove, waited a couple more days, sent the dove out again, and this time the dove came back with an olive branch in its beak. And Noah realized the water is receding, and the trees and the plants are starting to come back, but it's still not quite safe to leave the ark. And so he waited a little bit longer, and he sent the dove out again. And this time, the dove didn't come back. And Noah realized the dove has found a place to build a nest and to live. That means it's now safe for us to leave the ark. And so after a very long time. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights, but it was over 100 days that they were actually in the ark. And so now the ark has rested on dry ground, and Noah and his wife and his 3 sons and their 3 wives are now able to leave the ark with all the animals. Now on the ark, all the animals were friendly, but when they left the ark, God told Adam, it's going to go back to the way it was, where the animals are now going to be fearful of you. And so God told the animals they needed to be fruitful and multiply, and again fill the earth with all of their kind. and also with Noah and his wife and the 3 sons, that to fill the earth back up with more people. And God also, one of the things that's really cool that Noah did is he realized that God had protected him. So he built an altar. And on that altar, he gave thanks to God for his protection and for his love, and that they were saved. And God appreciated that altar, and he sent a rainbow. And he said, the rainbow is a reminder to you and to me that never again will I send a flood to destroy the entire earth. And so anytime we see that rainbow, we remember God's love and his covenant, that he will never do what he did and cause a flood to cover the entire earth again. And so every time we see a rainbow in the sky, we can think of Noah, the flood, and God's promise that he will never again send a flood to cover the whole earth. So that is the story for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I didn't really have any big crafts for you this week. I just sent you some coloring pages that I hope you enjoy. I hope you had a great week last week. I hope it's a wonderful week this week. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord cause his face to shine upon you. And have a great week. And I love you. Lord bless you.